what that moment was. But then, if you can hear me right now, Chief Shittu, good evening and so good to have you join us on Corero. All right, Chief Shittu, if you can hear me, good evening and so good to have you join us on Corero. Well, while we're still trying to get Chief Shittu to talk to
He's not here. He's not here.
some of the happenings in the country, and especially when
Am I
that's
being
October
audible?
20 that has been set aside by a lot of people to
Hello?
celebrate that day, or to rather mark the date, not to celebrate actually,
He's
because
here.
it's a painful experience.
He's
for a
here.
lot of
He's here.
persons. But then, Chief Shittu, good evening and so good to have you join us on Corero. Chief Shittu, let's delve into the conversation. It's been 5 years since the Lekki tollgate shooting. Have Nigerians really learned anything from that tragedy? That's on one side. On the other hand, has justice been served to the victims and their families that were a part of that incident? Shittu, let's get you react quickly to this whole incident. It's been 5 years so far since the Lekki incident happened, and of course, I'm trying to find out from you right now and get you react. Have Nigerians really learned any lesson from the NSAS protest? And again, the families and the victims that were affected, have justice been served so far? 5 years so far.
It's good to be with you. Frankly speaking, 5 years down and we're still mourning. We're still in pain. Nigerian army opened live ammunitions on Nigerian protesters, peaceful protesters, majorly and mainly youths, ending their life, terminating their life. So there is, and we've been calling for justice. Up to date, so far, so good, no justice has been done. It has been a kind of a situation from fire to fry pan. We also what happened in FCT today in respect of a similar protest for the release of Nnamdi Kanu, and now live ammunitions were fired. We are in a modernized generation. We are in a civilized world, and we are practicing democracy. That is what we are practicing in Nigeria. But it's very, very unfortunate. What is happening in Nigeria is no longer democracy. Nigeria is not just a failing country. Nigeria has become a failed country, completely a failed country.
Well, Chief Shittu, we can't say that authoritatively that Nigeria is a failed country. We can allege that we can allege, Chief Shittu, we can categorically say that Nigeria has failed, because when we classified and tried to taxonomize failed countries, we won't put Nigeria in one of those categories. But please go on with your thoughts.
Yeah, you understand, because if not a failed country, there is no any country that will raise live ammunitions against its citizens for a peaceful protest. Protest is a constitutional right for citizens to express their mind, their feelings, their grievances to the government. And what is expected of a reasonable government is to get the parties involved, seated, look for an amicable dispute resolution. How would they resolve these issues at hand? The issue calling for protest. But Nigerian government has continuously failed to do that. All they're doing in return is to open fire, shot at Nigerian youths. These are promising youths who could be of vital help to this country in the nearest future. They treat their parents, their associates, their friends into just sudden shock that they have to lose their beloved ones. And I hope you agree with me on this.
Well, Chief Shittu, let's talk about the governance and responsibility of the government. Of course, today is 5 years after the Lekki incident. But then, a lot of Nigerians are saying that first, they ought to have proper accountability from the security chief. People should have been held accountable. But right now, we are not getting that. Even we've not seen that in the limelight. Is this the right step in the right direction in order to address the whole Lekki tollgate incident?
You see, as long as corruption keep growing in Nigeria, as long as corruption keep accelerating on a very high speed, then we shouldn't expect anything good. We shouldn't expect anything good. You understand? Whoever wants equity must come with clean hands. Those are the authorities at the ends of affairs in Nigeria. Those are the seat of authority. Their hands are not clean. And you know, because their hands are not clean, definitely they wouldn't give justice. What you have in Nigeria now, there is no respect for the rule of law. There is no respect for the rule of law in Nigeria again. God to give order, Nigerian government will fail to obey court orders that does not favor them. For how long are we going to continue this? 5 years down, justice has not been done to the family, to the relative, to the associates of those who lost their life. 20th of October 2020. It's so disheartening. It's a complete mess. It's a complete mess. You understand? So no justice has been done, and we are not even expecting any justice. Whoever is expecting justice to be done under this APC, that person is deceiving his or herself. It is a known fact that APC has nothing good to offer for Nigeria. APC has no regard, has no respect for the rule of law. So how do you now expect such party that is ruling Nigeria at present to give us justice? No. It's unfortunate. I will continue to call to hold the government accountable for their lapses. We will not keep quiet.
All right. Shittu, let's talk in terms of the lessons from the NSAS protest. We understand that a lot of young Nigerians has been affected by the NSAS protest. But then, do you think at this point that the government has truly understood the message of the NSAS protest, going by what transpired in Lekki toll gate? Have the government truly understood the message?
Frankly speaking, the government clearly understood the message. But because there is no respect for citizens, for the government keep oppressing Nigerian citizens, you understand, and using government apparatus to threaten, to intimidate, and oppress Nigerian citizens just because they want to remain in power. So, frankly speaking, what lessons are we expecting to have learned from this? The only lesson is that we must learn to speak out, we must rise up and hold government accountable.
So, if I get you correctly, sorry to interject you, but then if I get you correctly, you're saying that the government did not learn any lesson, or the government have learned lessons, and they've been able to improvise policies and modalities in order to best address situations right now, and that's why we're now having any NSAS protests or any of those high-rising protests in the country right now.
Frankly speaking, the government has learned lessons from those protests, but they have failed to make good use of it. And it's getting to a stage where Nigerian government will pull Nigerian youth, Nigerian masses, to the extreme world. And when you push a human being to the world, the next thing you expect from that person is counter-reaction. We see what is happening in some neighboring African countries. So if care is not taken, there may be revolution very, very soon. Very, very soon, like I said. Because enough of all this mentality, a lot of all this executive rascality, we can't continue this way. The government learned lesson, but they have failed to make good use of it. Well, a good example is exactly what happened today, where tear gas, live ammunitions were fired on those protesting in the federal capital.
I was going to bring you to that point. I was going to come to that point exactly. Well, let me bring you to this point. Since you've mentioned today's incident, has there been any visible? Because what led to the NSAS protest, allegedly, was that the police brutality and other form of vices by Nigerian police, a division of Nigerian police or a section of Nigerian police known as SAS, and that was brought to the NSAS. But then, it's 5 years down the line. Has there been visible reforms in the Nigerian police force or military conduct since 2020?
There have not been any. And I want you to agree with me that the Nigerian police has failed to get that institution reformed. A good example I will give you is what happened today to some of your colleagues who are from New Central. I think you call it New Central.
Yeah.
Men of the civil defense harassed, assaulted pressmen today, right in the FCT. So that tells us the situation we are in this country. Once you are out to speak against the bad aspect of government, the next thing is you become a target. Hello?
So as it stands right now, I'm curious to ask, are Nigerian citizens safe within the ambience of our security agencies?
Honestly, we are not safe. It has been God's mercy that has been protecting us. This is a country that will sit and engage bandits in peace talk, in peace negotiation, without the bandits surrendering their firearms. And you want to tell me we are in a safe country? The government has failed to secure our life. They have failed to secure our property on a daily basis now. On a daily basis, nobody talk of robberies again in Nigeria. Armed robbery is no longer something. What is common on our daily basis now is banditry, kidnapping Nigerian citizens who are struggling to survive. That's why they had the economic policy the government bring on board. People are being kidnapped on a daily basis and millions of naira are being paid as ransom.
Well, Chief Shittu, the government will disagree with you to a very large extent. The government will say that they've done a lot, especially coming from the office of the NSA, National Security Advisor to the President, especially of Nur Ribadu. Said the government have done a lot in order to comb insurgency, in order to comb banditry, in order to also mitigate the level of crime across the country. Do you share in this thought line?
We all knew that this Tinubu-led government is a government of propaganda. APC came on board through propaganda. They are good at propaganda. So it will be very difficult for them to admit failure. But it is obvious to an ordinary citizen on the street of Nigeria that Tinubu has failed completely in securing the lives of Nigerians, in securing our properties. It is in the news, it's all over the media, the rate at which people are being kidnapped in Kwara State on a daily basis. On a daily basis. Kwara South is no longer safe. Kwara North is no longer safe. Go to Katsina, go to Sokoto, go to Zamfara. On a daily basis, people are being kidnapped, people are being mined, people are being killed, people are paying ransom. On a daily basis, on hourly basis. And with this, want to tell me the government will come out and say they are succeeding. In what? They are succeeding in putting our life at risk. That's a fact.
That's quite an allegation, Chief Shittu.
It is not an allegation. My statement are statements of fact. These things are all over.
It is an interesting allegation, Chief Shittu.
You understand?
Yeah.
So you cannot imagine a country where citizens now engage in peace dialogue with bandits. It means the government has failed. A country where local government chairman is engaging bandits in peace talk without the bandits surrendering the firearms to them. We are sitting on a keg of gunpowder in Nigeria. And you want to tell me Nigeria is a failing country? No, it is not a failing country, but a failed country, I repeat. Nigeria is a failed country.
Well, Chief Shittu, let's go with the word alleged failed country, because at least we still have a democratic government in place. The indices are there. We can't call that an evidence. They are just indices and parameters. And of course, we know that in analyzing peace and conflict issues around the world, every country share in some of these proponents of analyzing these issues. But then let's move on to even look at the whole incident that played out in 2020 in Lekki. When you begin to x-ray the incident that happened in Lekki, try to also look at it from the path of Nnamdi Kalu's case right now. Can we say that the Nigerian police force have truly been able to revitalize its strategies in order to address peaceful protests? Or does the Nigerian police need further training in order to help them facilitate the whole process of handling, or the whole way of handling protests in the country?
You see, frankly speaking, the Nigerian police made up of the rank and files. And when you look at these rank and file officers, they are majorly they are those who failed their school cert, who could not even pass through their white exams. And they have no any other hope other than to secure the police job. So most of them are not even exposed. They are not well read. They are not learned. So they can't even interpret what the Constitution of Nigeria says. But that uniform makes them to feel above every other citizens. And these are one of the major reasons why you see them misbehaving. You can imagine, why will you, in a reasonable situation, in a sensible country, why will any police officer raise or fire the live ammunition to his citizens? Their salary is being paid through tax generated from the Nigerian citizens. And these are the same set of people Nigerian police who raise up their gun, fire guns at them, fire tear gas at them, not minding that some of them are asthmatic patients. So Nigerian police Nigerian police has to be totally reformed. Nigerian police recruitment has to be checked. It has to be seriously under a very good check meeting. They should stop recruiting those who could not even properly spell their name, who could not even properly write a very good English. These are not the people who need the Nigerian police. We want people who, when they read the Constitution, they can interpret each word. Each word.
But then, Chief Shittu, to a very large extent, Chief Shittu, if you can hear me, to a very large extent, Nigerian police will say that the Nigerian citizens also are not helping matters when it has to do with all of this whole incident. They've had situations where they have asked protesters, peaceful protesters, to please move up or move to a certain demarcated location that is allocated to them for the protest. But Nigerian citizens, to a very large extent, will rather flout the orders of the police in order to do their own. Don't you think at this point that Nigerian youth and citizens also are also propelling some of these actions and reaction by the Nigerian police that we are seeing play out so far?
Hello.
If you can hear me, Chief Shittu, can you hear me? I'm trying to find out from you at this point.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Yes, so let me get you react to that quickly.
You see, when you look at it this way, Nigerian citizens are lawful. Why will any reasonable government control the movement of protesters that they should be confined to a designated place? You understand? We have seen instances
but it can be for security, for security purpose.
Restrain your outing, your protest to stadium. Are they playing football match? Why will Nigerian government, if they are sincere with the citizens, why will you now say protesters should be stationed within a corridor of the stadium?
Well, you don't think at this point that it's for the government to be able to coordinate or better protect the protesters, so that the protests won't be hijacked by hoodlums?
No, there is no. See, the only time you see protests being hijacked, then make say government down on the inside. Nigerian government will give protesters money to go and protest against protesters. Don't go to garage, pack all these boys, give them stipends. You understand? Mobilize them, mobilize their party supporters. You understand? To do flyers, sponsor them.
Well, that's an allegation, Chief. That's an allegation. We can't confirm that, but let's take it as an allegation.
I was actively engaged involved in this October 2020. I was part of the team that was on the Tandata Bridge, right there in the FCT. We saw how a full loaded 911 truck came with boys fully armed with cutlasses, with stick, to come and disperse us that we are peaceful protesters. Some of these boys were apprehended. All they said was they gave them 2,000 naira. They were picked up from Jabi Park. Some of them were picked up from Wuse Market. And they were given 2,000 naira to come and disperse us. So then that you now say when government is sponsoring other citizens.
But they didn't say it was from the government and Chief Shittu, or did they?
Who are the individuals? Individuals who are minding their business, going about their business, will not be engaged in such things. Let's not deceive ourselves. Let's stop deceiving Nigerians. Will you use your own salary to go and pay boys at the motor garage that go and make go push also the protest? Will you use your own hard-earned money to do that?
Well, let's take that to be a hypothetical question because, or a rhetorical question, if you like. In that, let's take it to be a rhetorical question. But then let's come back to the old Lekki toll gates and the celebration right now. Now, we understand also that a lot of people have taken this date, October 20th, to be a very significant date to remember fallen heroes that civilians, to use the word, that also were trying to fight to ensure that Nigerian democracy gets to its pinnacle. But when you look at this in general, can we say that the people that lost their lives in the Lekki tollgate incident and other protesters that have protested in order to defend the Nigerian democratical institutions, can we say that their life is worth sacrificing for the better good of Nigeria, looking at the state of the nation as it stands right now?
Frankly speaking, they remain hero. They sacrifice their life for us to survive, for us to have a working Nigeria, for us to have a working system, a government that will work for those at the grassroots, for a common man on the street. It's a big sacrifice they have done, frankly speaking, and they remain heroes.
Why you say they remain? Why you say they remain heroes? Do you want to throw light on this? Of course, has anything changed since 2020 till date? Has anything changed in terms of reforms? Have the government been able to address certain pressing needs? Have the government been able to address certain pressing concerns that were also raised during the Lekki protests? We only saw what late President Muhammadu Buhari did, and one of those was to subject the SAS unit or division into some form of reforms. But we've not had practical demonstrations of what has come out from that. Of course, we also know that in Abuja here, we also have the SAS office. And I know spread across the country, we also have SAS offices that are still functioning across board. Can we say that the lives of people that were lost in peaceful demonstration and peaceful protests in the country is worth it, looking at the realities of what has not been reformed?
Frankly speaking, it does not worth it. But in the cost of fighting for justice, for holding government accountable, they lost their life. And that makes them to be heroes.
Yeah, so I'm asking that question not to ask this particular one. Could this also be one of the reasons why a lot of Nigerian youths decided not to participate in the hunger strike, the hunger protest, the old protests that have also tailored through even till today where we had the Nnamdi Kalu's protest? Could this have been a factor why a lot of Nigerian youths are hiding behind their doors and behind the keypads and not coming out to protest?
You see, the truth is, Nigerian youth are yet to face reality. A lot of us make noise on social media, but when it comes to physical appearance on the street, they will sit at the comfort of their home. But Rome was not built in a day. And when you look at the last August protest, you discover that for the first time in the history of Nigeria, the North was deeply involved in that protest than even the South. Initially, in the past, it used to be the South that would come out for protest. The Northerners hardly joined protest. But it was the North this time around that massively turned out. Then that tells us we are gradually moving to a stage where we take our country back from all these cabals, disturbing and mismanaging our resources, throwing us into abject poverty, killing us, putting our life at risk on a daily basis.
Well,
we'll definitely get there. Rome was not built in a day.
Shittu, the number of people, young Nigerians that have left the country between 2020 to date is very disturbing. Going by my statistics with me here, it is very disturbing. I want to pose this question to you as a public affairs analyst, and one who is a social commentator. You've traveled far and wide in this country. You understand. You've interact with a lot of nationals across the country. Can young people right now thrust the system of Nigeria to stay back and believe that the country will improve if the end SARS protests, people that lost their lives, it amounted that their life was just a waste. There was no justice that was served. Like you said, no justice was served. Could this be one of the factors or reasons why a lot of Nigerians are leaving the country as it stands today?
Frankly speaking, you see, it's one of the factors when Nigerian youth see Nigerian government raising fire ammunitions, dangerous weapons against its citizens. It's scary. That alone is discouraging. And for a large number of youths or even adults who want to japa, they want to find an escape route because they don't want to die an untimely death. But the fact remains that everybody, each and every one of us, will not align to that japa. The few of us that will remain here will make sure that we fight and take this country back. That is the most important thing. That is the key factor. We that we are left behind will make sure we continue to fight so that when we get our country back from this cabas, those who flee out of Nigeria that felt they need to source for a more secured avenue where they could go about their daily earnings, they will move back into the country. So you understand, they will move back. So that's just the fact about it.
All right, Chief Shittu,
Nigerian youths are not that brave enough. We have a large number of Nigerian youths who are eager to move out of Nigeria because they don't want to die untimely death. They face a series of challenges on a daily basis. Police intimidation, harassment, you understand, political harassment and other things, kidnapping, killings, robbery, just name it. So all these things are disheartening and they are very, very discouraging. So whoever has a means will think of a second alternative. That second alternative is them traveling out. It's the Japa syndrome.
Well, having said that, right now, let's tie this up with the protest of today. Nnamdi Kalu's agitation for his release, even being championed by Showore and other groups that came together to say, oh, no, at this point in time, we need to let Nnamdi Kalu go out. But then, when you look at all of this practice and all of this situation that has played out today, can we say again that it is worth the stress, knowing fully well that there have been countless court orders for the release of Nnamdi Kalu and it did not hold water? Will this protest serve any public good?
Yeah, it will. It will. It could ginger the government to do the needful, that is to release Nnamdi Kanu. Like you have rightly said, there are a series of court orders that has granted bail to Nnamdi Kanu. But the same government who want Nigerian citizens to have respect for Nigerian constitution, for Nigerian rule of law, have failed to honor that rule of law, have failed to obey court orders. You understand? So you cannot imagine what this government, and in the constitution is expressly stated, no one is above the law. No one is above the law. We have seen bandits, government negotiating with bandits, government employing bandits, recruiting them into Nigerian military, government telling them that, okay, we are sending them to a rehabilitation center to reform them. They are recruiting these bandits back into the community. So then why won't the government release Nnamdi Kanu? Nigerian government has released Sunday ago. Why is Nigerian government still holding Nnamdi Kanu? It's a big question. If Wibo could be released, Showore was released. Showore was equally detained, arrested and detained, arraigned in court. He was later granted bail. So I have not seen any reason whatsoever for the interest of unity, for the interest of one Nigerian, Nnamdi Kanu must be released.
Okay, so let's even talk, since you've taken us to that point that he must be released. But then this has been a cry, but a public outcry for the last 4 years, since 2021 until date. The government has not moved its feet. The government has remained static and stagnant with its position. Now let's juxtapose this with what is going on across the country, where we're seeing protests here and there, scattered protests, protests in sketches. Will this government, when you look at the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government, let's call it the Asiwaju government, will this government listen to the clamor of Nigerians and heed to this cry to release Nnamdi Kanu, from your own analysis?
It's very, very unfortunate that the same Tinubu who happens to be the president today, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has always been at the forefront of protest. Let's not forget the subsidy protest during Jonathan's regime. Tinubu was at the forefront. He coordinated, financed the protest against fuel subsidy then. But today, Tinubu is the president of Nigeria. We like it or not, he's the sitting president. Right under his regime, protesters have been shot at. Protesters have been arrested. Today, a lawyer was arrested because he was part of a protest. For you to see the audacity that the Nigerian police have, for you to see the abuse of the rule of law, due process, is not being honored, it's not being respected. And now we can't continue like this. We can't continue like this.
So let me get you correctly, Shittu. Let's put this conversation in perspective. When you look at it critically, will this government listen to the cry of Nigerians and intervene in the release of Nnamdi Kanu?
The government has no alternative other than to listen to the voice of majority of Nigerians who are seeking for the immediate release of Nnamdi Kanu. The government has no option. The option is not negotiable. He must be released. Sunday Igboho was released. Yelesu Ore was released. Shekau was this Boko Haram man. He's moving freely, granting peace meeting here and there. He has not been arrested. He has not been declared a terrorist. So why should Nnamdi Kanu be declared a terrorist in the first instance?
Well, it's not my position to answer.
Bello is there. Yeah, Bello Trigi is a bandit. He's a known bandit across, killing people on a daily basis. He has not been declared as a terrorist. The government has failed to get him arrested. No Nigerian is more Nigerian than any Nigerian. We are all equal. Then we should all enjoy that equality. Let's enjoy that. Yes, we are one Nigerian. So holding Nnamdi Kanu shows as if the government is trying to oppress, to marginalize the southern part of Nigeria, that is the southeast. And it's going to be a very bad signal. It's going to be a very bad one. It's as if Nigerian government is deliberately witch-hunting the southeastern part of Nigeria.
All right. Chief Shittu, at this point in time, protests in Nigeria has failed or has tend to fail the young Nigerians. And the consequence is that we are having a lot of Japa syndrome, which you have also confirmed, and you've also been on the same page with that conversation. Now, you've also said that the police have not been able to adhere to its reformed principle. That is, the Nigerian police have not subjected itself to basic diplomatic reforms. The young people on one hand are the protesters. The police on the other hand are the people that uphold the protection of lives and properties of the good people of Nigeria. When the life of an average young Nigerian protesting for his rights, exercising his fundamental human rights, does not matter to, or does not seem to matter, or allegedly not mattered to security agency. I'm curious at this point, like most young people will say, is there light at the end of the tunnel for Nigerian young people that want to come out to protest? Even for the country at large, is there light at the end of the tunnel that protests will yield cognitive results at the end of the day?
It will. It will. It's just that it has to take a gradual process because the government are not willing, but they have no option than to take, and they will be forced to take it for them to ensure that there is peace and order. that people are able to go about their daily businesses. The government has no any other option other than to take to the request, to the demand of Nigerian citizens who are coming out in their large number for protest. So we will not back down. Then we sincerely say kudos to those who came out today for that protest. They have really done good. And the majority of them are not
Chief Shittu, I'm not asking this because of the adults. I'm asking this because of young Nigerians that might be tempted to want to join this protest. You've also confirmed that people that lost their lives at the Lekki tollgate incident, justice has not been served. It has not been delivered. At this point, is there light at the end of the tunnel, especially to parents watching the show right now?
The truth is that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And if I may explain this to you, is we will all have reasons to smile at the end of the day. We will all have reasons to smile and be happy that we have a new country. And we'll definitely get there. We will definitely get there. That is an assurance. Is an assurance. Get this bookmarked that Nigeria will very soon will get to our destined promised land, where the rule of law will work, where our fundamental rights will be duly respected by those at the ends of affairs.
So you want to put a time frame to that? You want to put a time frame to that? To parents, want to put a time frame to that? Especially to parents watching right now. Is there a time frame to that? Optimism?
Let's see what happened by 2027. That is why you say the last election. You see what happened. It has never happened in the history of Nigeria. The last presidential election, the person who was declared third, Peter Obi, was able to have over 6 million votes. It has never happened in the history of our democracy. But that is a signal. And when you look at that 6 million votes, Peter Obi was able to get is from Nigerian youths. And I can bet you, come next election, I'm sure you will get more than that. If not times 2, it will be times 3. Because on a daily basis, Nigerian youths are becoming more exposed, more enlightened to what a modern day life is all about, to how a country should work for them. And they are eager, they are desirous. Nigerian youths are desirous to take their country.
All right, Chief Shittu, I know you are a proud supporter of the former Labour Party presidential candidate, the President of Peter Obi. But then, you want to one word before we let you go at this point in time, especially to people that lost their lives in the Lekki tollgate. Well, I've been signaled that we've lost Chief Shittu at this point, but then our heart goes out to as many families that lost individuals, that lost properties and other sorts in the Lekki tollgate. Our heart goes out to you, even today, which a lot of young Nigerians have set aside as a day for the remembrance of Lekki tollgate. And a lot of people have tagged it to be a Black October because of what happened in Lekki. Our heart goes out to you, and we also at this point say that may God continue to give you the fortitude to bear the loss. But this is how far we can go today on Corero. Don't forget that you can follow us across all our social media platforms currently showing on your screen. And you can also download the Rapid TV app from your Android and iOS devices. My name is Godwin Sunday. Always remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Do enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye for now.